And this is Ken Kreitzer for Sons of the American Legion Radio and our Iona College basketball report coverage. And we are very pleased today to talk with an Iona graduate student, alumni, former player. That is Dr. Jeylani Dublin down in Virginia. Jeylani, how are you today?
I'm all right. Not too bad. Thanks for having me, Ken.
Oh, great to see you. And really, you've done a lot since your year at Iona. Tell us a little bit about the medical program that you have completed and that you are now a PhD in medicine.
Well, after Iona, I was in 2015, I started a physical therapy school at Shenandoah University here in Loudoun County, Virginia, right here in Leesburg, Virginia. And yes, it was very taxing on from a mental aspect and a physical aspect. You know, it was 3 long years of grad school. We covered everything from anatomy, learned pretty much everything we could think about from the muscle and bone, an orthopedic standpoint. And I met some great colleagues along the way. Luckily enough, right after my time at Shenandoah University, my last clinical rotation was at the National Sports Medicine Institute, where I am today. And literally the clinic is directly across the street from campus. So how convenient is that? Really like my colleagues here, and I wouldn't want it any other way. I have some really good colleagues, and I really get a chance to be around a lot of these younger Loudoun County athletes, ranging from football to volleyball. Of course, my wheelhouse would be basketball, just to be biased, but
Sure.
It keeps me young. I get to live my younger years through them now that I'm not bouncing the ball anymore.
Well, you know, you're really a role model for NCAA athletes in completing your undergraduate degree and then spending a year at Iona and then going on to a medical doctorate program and completing that. That is just a tremendous accomplishment.
Thank you.
Hey, now tell us a little bit about, now you were at Longwood and played basketball there, completed that. Tell us a little bit about your undergraduate experience before you came up to New Rochelle to Iona.
Gotcha. Undergrad was amazing at Longwood. It was a lot of people asked me, like when I first stepped foot on campus, they're like, Jay, you're from Brooklyn, New York, coming to Farmville, Virginia. How's that for you? Well, luckily, in high school, my prep school was more of in a rural area. So going from high school to Longwood wasn't much of a change for me. But I met some of my greatest friends there, a very close, tight-knit community at Longwood University. It always holds a special place in my heart because I met some of my lifelong friends there. Basketball-wise was great. The pace of play was a little bit different from Iona. We had a lot of big guys that were bruisers, so we pretty much had to play at a slower pace, a slower methodical pace. But other than that, I mean, Longwood was a great institution. Now, like what they're doing now with Coach Griff Aldrich, they just made it on to the big dance. They won the Big South, the male side and the female side. So I'm happy for them and what they're doing with the culture around campus, just bringing that up, bringing wins to the campus and just making their name known in the Big South.
Absolutely. Now, you were able to complete your undergraduate degree, leaving a year to go come up to Iona College in New Rochelle and sign on as a graduate student and play a year for Tim Cluth. Tell us about your Iona experience.
I got you. So, Iona was a great experience. It allowed me to come closer to home. I grew up playing in the city leagues in Brooklyn and Manhattan, you name it. I've been playing there my whole childhood. So it was good to make that full circle and come all the way back around to Iona. Tim Cluth was a great coach, right? He was a very strict coach, right? But for the good reasons. Right? He was hard on us, but made sure that we did what we had to do on and off of the court. In terms of practices, they were really intense. We were playing at like such a quicker pace compared to where I was playing when I was at Longwood. So I believe at Longwood, my playing weight was probably 225, 230,
Wow.
right? Yeah, 225, 230. When I got to preseason for Iona, I had to bump that down about 10 pounds, 10, 15 pounds. So like my playing weight at Iona was probably about 215, 210, just to get accustomed to the style of play, the more run and gun, 3-point shooting, offensive style.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about your teammates that you played with.
At Iona, AJ English, probably hands down one of the best scorers I ever had the opportunity to play alongside. Right, his work ethic was tremendous. Like even after losses, we could have lost by 15 points. It doesn't matter. We'd get back to campus probably around some long road trips. We would get back to campus probably around like 1 o'clock at night, midnight, right? And AJ would not leave the gym. That's one thing that I always really respected about him. Whether win or loss, his work ethic was the same, right? He would shoot a bunch of 3-point shots, work on his free throw shot right after a loss. I've never seen anything like it. But another great player that I had the chance to play alongside, would battle a lot in practice, talk a lot of trash back and forth. But Dave Lowry, he was another skilled forward at that time. For his size, to be able to just handle the ball at that sort of level was pretty intense, because a lot of the teams that we play back then, they had forwards, but these forwards were like legit forwards, like guys that would rebound, defend, but not necessarily handle the ball like a guard. So he was basically like a mismatch problem for most of our opponents. And that's one thing you can always really count on Dave to get a basket, yeah, at the end of the game, or of course during the game. For other teammates, we had a lot of guys that played really good roles. We had a young Shadrach Kashmir. He was went by Sed, right? He was a great 3-point shooter. Unfortunately, when I graduated from Longwood, I think he ended up transferring over to Florida Gulf Coast. But he was a prolific shooter. It was great having.
He overcame a major hip injury too. He had a couple of surgeries that really were tough to overcome.
Kind of held him back a little bit, yeah. But he was another awesome player. Kelvin Ameo, a transfer that came in from Marshall at that time. He was really good, very athletic. Probably known for his ESPN top 10 dunks every other game. So, I mean, we had a really good group. I really enjoyed playing with these guys. Last but not least, Isaiah Williams. He was like our glue guy. So if you're looking at like today's team, where we have Barrett John Lee under Rick Pitino's lead, right? Isaiah was like our Barrett, right? He would set the tone. He would get out, make really good defensive plays, and try to get the team going. He was our spark. When he was on, the rest of the team kind of followed suited. And that's kind of the effect that I usually see on the court when I watch Iona games today, how Barrett kind of sets that tone defensively for the team and brings that spark.
Absolutely. Now, one of the things that, you had the opportunity was to study for a master's degree at Iona. And we see so many players right now with that opportunity to be graduate students at various schools around the country playing basketball, could be football also. Tell us, how did you handle getting the master's degree and the value that it provided you?
Well, at the master's degree, it was a very great opportunity. I majored in experimental psychology. Coming out of Longwood, I started there as a bio major, majored in bio. And with the experimental psych, it actually opened up an avenue for me to get into physical therapy school. because after I graduated from Longwood University with my biology major, I still needed some prerequisites to get into physical therapy school. And during my regular biology major, we didn't really have a lot of psychology courses that we took. So it gave me the opportunity to catch up on some of those prerequisites. And I was always interested in the medical field, and being an athlete, I always wanted to be around athletes. So I was able to finish up grad courses at Iona during the night because we'd practice during the day. And coach thought it would be the best decision for me to take night classes just to give me a little gap between practice and my academics, which actually tended to work out pretty well, a lot of the grad courses. I learned a lot, and in all honesty, Iona's psychology program led me to where I'm at today, allowed me to gain acceptance into Shenandoah's doctoral program, and I really thank Iona for that.
Well, that's terrific that you were able to be a biology major, experimental psychology major in graduate school and still play Division I sports. How did you balance that? You mentioned taking night courses, but that I have to say is extraordinary to see an athlete be able to handle a difficult major like biology.
Well, I'll have to say that in terms of balancing my academics and athletics, that started earlier on in my life. So I'll have to tip my hat off to the Milbrook School in Duchess County, New York, right? That's where I went to prep school for about 2 years, playing basketball for them, and of course going to class at the same time. And they really taught me how to manage my time efficiently, right? We had our set schedule, we had our study hall, just like any other prep school, right? Study hall, you had formal dinner at a certain time, you had chapel at a certain time. So it sort of got me into that mindset of being able to do multiple things at once, but by the end of the day, try to bring everything back together. Yeah. So when I got to Longwood, I still carried over some of those skills that I learned from the Milbrook School, and I really appreciate Milbrook for providing me with those skills. But as I left Longwood, I didn't lose those skills. I kept it going at Iona, but it was just at a bigger scale since the academic curriculum was a little bit more tense, right? A little bit more challenging. So I just had to bump it up a little level. But I would say for the most part, most of those organizational skills came earlier on in my basketball career.
Well, so important that you had those opportunities to learn academic discipline, which has allowed you to succeed. Now, tell us a little bit about what your role is now as Dr. Jeylani Dublin in physical therapy. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing.
Well, I'm a physical therapist, of course. I pretty much specialize in orthopedic injuries and sports medicine. Orthopedic injuries just meaning any like bone, muscle, and joint injuries, right? I get a lot of Loudoun County athletes. The county that I'm in is Loudoun County here in Virginia. And we get a lot of high-level athletes out here, a lot of high-level football players, basketball players, volleyball players, you name it. So pretty much the most fulfilling part of my job is to get some of these injured athletes back to where they were, right? We have a lot of athletes that go down with whether it's a meniscus tear or like an ACL tear, right? Or a knee injury, shoulder injury. My goal is to rehab them and have them transition back to their sport, whether it's at a D1 level at a D1 college or at a D2 college, or even back to high school, right? Besides the rehabilitation process, we also provide sports performance. So sometimes we have athletes with just general weaknesses, right? They have weak hips or a weak core, right? Not necessarily injured, but they just want to maximize their sports performance to the furthest extent, right? To be able to maintain that throughout college or professional sports. We offer sports performance here too, where we can just maintain them along the season, have them do set workouts in season, rehab in season or off season, and then get them back to their regular competition. So I played both sides of the spectrum, working with the injured athletes and working with the ones that are not injured, that pretty much want to maintain their athletic performance.
Improve their performance, absolutely. Now, tell us a little bit. You are such a role model, what you've been able to achieve academically, professionally, and having played Division I sports and a year at Iona. When you go out to perhaps a high school or even talk to the athletes who come into your practice, what do you tell them about how to handle being able to do the multiple challenges that athletes face between their sport, but also advancing academically?
Main thing that I tell them to do is try to simplify life a little bit, right? Especially in this era, like social media has such a presence in a lot of these athletes' lives. I tell them try to simplify life a little bit, and just remember that when you're on court or whether you're on the field, you have to just go at your own pace and things would be okay. All right. I think a lot of athletes, especially in today's world, they tend to compare themselves to the elite athletes, right? Instead of trying to take the rudimentary steps to get there, they look at the end goal too soon, right? So I think one of the best pieces of advice that I usually like to give athletes is just pretty much go at your own pace, take the necessary steps to get there, but don't kill yourself trying to be the most elite athlete. Enjoy the steps as they come, right? Enjoy the journey that it takes to get there, and be all right. A lot of
well said.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good perspective. Very solid. Enjoy the journey. Now, the Iona Gales have Rick Pitino coaching them, second year. The regular season just ended, 25-6. What's been your observation of Iona? I know you got a chance to watch a few of their games, and the coaching of Rick Pitino.
Well, few is an understatement. I try to catch every game that I can. Yeah, they say once a Gale, always a Gale. So I'm always supporting my guys, even if they don't know me, right? Because I'm from the class of 2015. But I'm so pleased with what Rick Pitino is doing. He's a really great coach. And what I see with this team is that they're a very complete team, right? They work hard both on the offensive end and the defensive end, and they have some pretty athletic guys that can really get the job done, like Tyson Jolly and Barrick John Louis. You have Nelly Joseph. They're really athletic on both ends. During our era, when we were playing with Tim Clues, we had really good teams, but one of our main attributes was scoring, right? We try to outscore every opponent. This team today has a lot of flexibility. They're really defensively sound when you think about it. They always put themselves in the position to win the game with their defense, right? If they're not hitting shots, they try to fill in those gaps with defensive assignments, and I really like that. You got a lot of guys that are unselfish too. You got Dylan Van Eyck coming in and switching roles with Slazinski, which I think is a really great component to have to your team. They're tall, lanky guys. They can both shoot the three. They can get to the basket. They're kind of like jack of all trades kind of players. Tyson Jolly, who I've noticed, especially at the beginning of the season, he came up with some big shots to win some games in in consecutive games, right? Like 4 games back to back, right? You got Elijah Joyner out there directing traffic as a point guard. Nelly Joseph, who I think's been maturing pretty well. Is he only a sophomore?
Yeah. He's going to get better.
He's been pretty good in terms of his post moves, getting over that left shoulder with the hook. And Osborne Shima's actually playing pretty well as he's getting more minutes as well. blocking shots at the basket, making it harder for offensive players to get the easy layup. So I think Iona has a really good thing going, and I'm hoping that they can advance pretty far in the tournament. That Alabama win on Thanksgiving really put a big smile on my face. Shows that all the hard work that they're doing is paying off.
Well, absolutely. It's been great to see the players who have been at Iona advance, and then the transfers, Elijah Joyner, you mentioned, Tyson Jolly, Quinn Zielinski, really fit in and mold into a team. Dr. Jeylani Dublin, it is so good to see you and hear what you're doing. You've accomplished so much. You're a terrific role model just across the board, and we wish you the best as you advance in your medical career, and we hope we can stay in touch.
Appreciate it, Ken. Thank you.
Hey, good to see you, Dr. Jeylani Dublin, former Longwood basketball player, graduate, and also master's grad at Iona, where he played on the basketball team, made a big contribution. Great to see him. And this is Ken Kreitzer for Sons of the American Legion Radio, our Iona College basketball coverage. Thank you for watching.